There are two words that have haunted humanity for thousands of years, words no one has ever truly understood: infinity. When we say the universe is infinitely large, when we say numbers go on forever, what are we really talking about? If you think infinity just means really big, then you haven't come close to understanding how truly terrifying it is. 4. If we ever want to grasp what the universe actually is, we need to deeply understand what infinity really means. Because, yes, infinity comes in levels, and in the next few minutes I'm going to take you on a journey from the tiniest atoms to the edges of the universe across mathematics and even into philosophy, to completely redefine how you see reality. You just took a breath. That breath contained roughly 5.1 billion atoms. That's a 5 followed by 22 zeros. Pretty wild, right? But your entire body, it's made up of 711 billion atoms. That's a 7 followed by 27 zeros. And the Earth? Scientists estimate it contains 111 billion atoms. That's a 1 with 50 zeros after it. Already feels impossible to picture. But compared to the scale of the universe, that's nothing. Because based on our best observations, the entire observable universe contains roughly 10 to the 82nd power atoms. That's a 1 with 82 zeros. And if we broke the universe down to the smallest possible unit of space, the Planck volume, we'd get 10 to the 185th of those tiny spaces, a 1 with 185 zeros. That's mind-breaking. But here's the twist. Even that number isn't the upper limit of human imagination, because mathematicians introduce something even more disturbing, a number that shatters your entire understanding of what numbers can be. 14. It's called Tree 3. What is Tree 3, and why is it scarier than any number you've ever heard? It starts with a deceptively simple game, the tree game. Here's how it works. You take some colored seeds. Every branch on the tree can grow new branches. But here's the catch. The first tree can only have one seed, the second can have up to 2, and so on. And every new tree has to be completely unique. If you repeat any pattern, the game ends. Mathematicians found that if you only use one color, the game ends fast. With 2 colors, you can make it to the third tree. But with 3 colors, when you hit tree 3, the game becomes unimaginably complex. They proved the game will eventually end. But the number of steps it takes, no one knows. It's so big we can't calculate it. We can't even come close. Physicists even joke that simply understanding the amount of information in tree 3 could make your brain collapse into a black hole. The most disturbing part, even tree 3, this unfathomably large number, is still finite. Compared to actual infinity, it's practically nothing. And that brings us to the next big question. If tree 3 is already brain-melting, then what does real infinity look like? The terrifying thing about infinity isn't that it's large, it's that it never ends. No matter how far you count, there's always one more. You never reach the end. Now here's the mind-bender. If the universe itself is infinite, then everything you could possibly imagine must happen again and again and again. That means somewhere out there are infinite versions of you living your exact life over and over. Because in an infinite universe, every improbable event isn't just possible. It's inevitable. This isn't science fiction. It's the horrifying logic of infinity. If you're still here and your brain hasn't melted yet, you're exactly the kind of person we make videos for. So hit that subscribe button and let's keep diving deeper into the universe together. Back to the story. Humanity's struggle with infinity isn't a modern problem. Go back 2,500 years. Ancient Greece, a secret society of thinkers led by the famous mathematician Pythagoras. They believed numbers and geometry were the perfect order behind the universe. They worshipped whole numbers. To them, everything made sense, until it didn't. Because while studying a simple square, they discovered something terrifying. The diagonal of a square couldn't be expressed as a whole number or even a simple fraction. It was a new kind of number, what they called irrational. Today, we call them irrational numbers, numbers that can't be neatly expressed. Their decimal parts go on forever, never ending, never repeating. This tiny discovery destroyed Pythagoras' dream of a perfectly ordered universe. They saw these never-ending numbers as unnatural, as chaos, as something evil. And around that same time, another Greek thinker, Zeno, posed his famous paradoxes. To walk from point A to B, you have to reach the halfway point first, then half of the remaining distance, then half of that, and so on forever. Logically, you'd never arrive. You'd just keep having the distance infinitely. Infinity had exposed a glitch in our understanding of logic itself. For the ancient philosophers, infinity wasn't just confusing, it was terrifying. But philosophers weren't the only ones haunted by it. In the late 1800s, a German mathematician named Georg Cantor decided to take infinity head-on. He didn't run from it. He tried to define it, to organize it, to measure it, and what he found shocked the entire world of mathematics. Cantor discovered that not all infinities are equal. You know the natural numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4. There's an infinite number of them. Now take even numbers: 2, 4, 6, 8, also infinite. You'd think the natural numbers are more, right? Wrong. Cantor showed you can match every natural number to one even number, 1 to 1, same size infinity. He called this countable infinity. But then, he looked at the numbers between 1 and 2, all the decimals, and he proved there are way more of those than natural numbers. So many, you can't match them 1 to 1. They're called uncountable infinities, a bigger infinity, a higher level, and the rabbit hole keeps going. There are infinities beyond uncountable infinity, an infinite staircase of infinite sizes. It broke minds, and it broke Cantor. Years later, he was institutionalized. Because infinity doesn't just stretch the limits of logic, it stretches the limits of the human mind. But even mathematics isn't where infinity ends. In physics, we've found signs that infinity might be more than abstract. Look at black holes or the Big Bang. In both cases, the math says density becomes infinite, size becomes infinitely small. All our laws of physics break down. Infinity becomes real. The universe itself may have been born from a single infinitely dense point. But what does that actually mean? Does it mean infinity exists in our physical world, or just that our theories are broken? Physicists don't have a clear answer. All they can admit is, in some corners of the cosmos, like black holes and the origin of the universe, our science fails. And that failure forces us to face something uncomfortable. Maybe infinity really does exist. We just can't understand it. Yet. And if the universe is infinite, then things get even weirder. In an infinite cosmos, everything that can happen will happen, over and over. There could be infinite copies of you, thinking the exact same thoughts, living the same life. And if that's not disturbing enough, let's talk about Boltzmann brains. According to quantum theory, given infinite time, the vacuum of space might randomly create a full human brain, complete with fake memories, fake experiences, fake consciousness, just floating in space, right now. What if this moment was just a hallucination inside one of those brains? It sounds insane. But in an infinite universe, it's not just possible, it's inevitable. That's the true horror of infinity, not its size, but its logic. Infinity breaks our sense of reality. It makes us question whether anything is truly real at all. So what do? How do we face something so huge, so strange, so mind-bending? Well, we remember who we are. Because human history is a history of facing the unknown. Every time we hit a limit, We break through it. We expand what's possible. Infinity is no different. It scares us, but it also drives us. From the ancient philosophers to Pythagoras and his doomed belief in order, to Cantor staring down mathematical madness, to modern physicists staring into black holes. Every generation that looks into infinity feels its own smallness, but also discovers courage. It's that unstoppable human need to understand, to explore, to go further, even when we know we might never reach the end. And maybe that's the point. Because the journey to understand infinity is the most infinite journey of all.